Thank you for tuning in, and be sure to comment and subscribe.
So we are on, ladies. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining me today. So hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. Today I have two beautiful, wonderful ladies with me today who have devoted their time to spend a few minutes of their Saturday with me. Thank you so much, ladies.
You're welcome.
So, my name, I'm going to start by introducing myself. My name is Gina Tumasi. I'm a psych APRN, and I have with me Lex, or AKA Lex, Alexis D. And she has a YouTube channel, Chatting with Lex, where she focuses on single women. So please check it out. We'll talk a little more towards the end of the program about her channel and how she's impacting women and transforming lives. And then I also have Denise. She's a parent advocate, and she's also case manager. She's both these wonderful ladies are moms, their aunts, sisters, and they're in school, and they're doing amazing. Like the American will say, they're badass women, okay? And they're here today. So and welcome to the show. This show we focus on mental health, and maybe Mental Health Awareness Month. There's no better time than to bring to attention some of the issues that we as women we deal with and struggle with. And in the sense of that, we're just going to make a little, I can see Denise just shushing somebody out of the way there. Just like I said, we wear so many hats. We are moms, we are daughters, we are wives, and all of that. So bear with us, and we'll make it as smooth as we can. But today we're going to focus on self-care. My little bit before we jump into what self-care means to each of us is that all from research, even with the WHO have found that at least 50+% of women struggle towards later in their lives, especially in their 50s, 60s, when they have emptiness, trying to identify themselves, because all through their lives, they focus so much of their energy taking care of kids, the family, and everything without self-caring, without caring for themselves. A lot of women from research also has shown that women use alcohol, drugs, food, a lot of times, different habits to cope as they go through mothering, right? Mm-hmm. Going through holding their families together, because we are the center of the family. But as enlightened women as we are, the three of us, and hopefully many of us out there listening to us, we all have our different definitions of what self-care is, right? So for me, the simple definition of self-care for me is being able to be selfish sometimes with like half an hour. Even for me, I started like half an hour each week to go out, take a walk in the morning. That was how I started my self-care. And I've worked on it a little bit. Now, ladies, any of you can, start, can you tell somebody out there, what do you feel like your definition of self-care is, and how do you feel like it's working for you?
Well, for me, my definition is the ability to actually practice healthier activities to promote, better mental and physical health, to give you a happier life, a longer life, and of course, a better personality. Because if you're not taking care of yourself at some point during the day, you're grumpy, you're frustrated, you just feel burnt out. You don't have a joy to live if you're not practicing self-care. So it does actually focus mainly on your mental and physical well-being overall. Whether it's just, 30 minutes a day, like you said, just to start. Something as small as that can actually transform your entire well-being.
Absolutely. I agree. Denise, what would be your take on that?
Well, I learned, my answer is just simple. It's the practice of taking action to preserve oneself or improve on my own health, and
Mm-hmm.
meaning physically, mentally, spiritually, even financially, in every way. Because
Mm-hmm.
if
Oh
those
yeah.
if those things are not in place, then we wouldn't be able to focus on. Then those things will be like at the top of our head, and we always
Yeah.
will overthink it, and then it just causes stress within ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like that a lot when you mention financially, because a
Yes.
lot of us women sometimes we become maybe aloof to like finances, or we just don't really kind of get involved with it too much, because the whole idea of independent girl become a little bit of an intimidation to maybe our partners, to different people around, so we kind of take a step back from it. So I really like that, in addition to different things like physical activity, financially taking care of ourselves too, for our future retirement and all that, count as self-care. So that's really awesome. So now segue, having a segue into the conversation is, I'm gonna, talk about, how do we find the balance? And is there such a thing as finding balance? Like for me, I feel like it's never ending. I don't think I will per se right now think that I found like what it means to have balance between taking care of my kids, working, whether you're working from home or working as a stay-at-home mom, because that's work in itself.
Hmm.
Being a stay-at-home mom is even harder
Yes,
than
yes.
having to go out into the world. I feel like I'm constantly like juggling, like my head is like on fire. I'm thinking about the next step, the next step, the next step.
Hmm.
What is next? What have you guys been doing? What's your take on that part of things?
So I learned a few years back from a
Mm-hmm.
mentor of mine that balance is a myth.
I
It's a myth
know. I
because
agree.
you can't find balance, but you can do your best to find harmony in the
Mm-hmm.
midst of your everyday life. Balance is a complete myth because that means you're giving equal time to everything. You just can't. There's no way. But you can, like you said, schedule it. And that's what works for me, is scheduling what I'm going to do. So if I know that the kids are going to bed maybe 7:30, 8:30 in the night, once they're off to sleep, I'm taking that next set of time, maybe another hour, long bath, reading a book or watching a movie, something that just
Mm-hmm.
helps me to digress. But to
Right.
find the balance, you're going to keep searching for this balance that you will never find, and you'll be
Mm-hmm.
completely burnt out. And that's what we do not want. I
Right.
don't want that
Right.
burnout. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? All
Of
it does is
course.
causes this excess stress, gray hairs before your time. You're looking older than your age. You no one knows who you are anymore
Who you are,
when you're
and,
trying to search for this
and you
balance.
yourself, right?
You
And you
yourself don't
yourself
recognize
don't
who's in
know.
the mirror. Yes.
Right. I'm reading this amazing book by Dr. Shifalis. Her name is
Mm,
Dr. Shifalis. You guys, that woman is something else. Her name is Dr. Shifalis. She's originally from India, so she's
mhm,
also kind of, she's a minority, but she's found this, some strategies that she's exploring, and she was even on Oprah at the other time. I was watching her on there,
mhm.
and she was talking about how she hit rock bottom. She was driving to pick up her child from school, and before she knows, she veered off the road, and she was kind of going to fall into like a ravine, and thankfully there was like a little barrier there. She stopped. She has, and she said, I have one child. She just has one child, but she was in school working on her PhD. She's a mom, she's a wife, she's an aunt, she's a grandma. And that moment was when she realized, who am I? I'm losing myself. I'm literally on the road. There are times, even myself, I remember times where I'll get from point A to B. And in between that time, I don't know where I was.
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't remember seeing anything I just know I just got to my destination.
Yes,
So
yes.
that's scary. Like culturally, we have been uh, so conditioned
Mhm.
to feel a sense of guilt if you're not doing X, Y, and Z as women,
Yes.
because culturally it's what we are supposed to do, right? it's a struggle to know, to let go of the guilt of, if you're not able to get to it, it's okay.
Yes.
Right.
I agree.
I know. So Denise as well, do you have any experience in trying to find balance with living everyday life as a mother? I saw a post the other day on I think on the web. I was Googling. He's like, what is your, on the meter? Like there was a meter. It's like, what is the, how's your level of mothering? Like it's like a mother meter or something. It says something funny like. And I'm like, how am I mothering? Am I doing okay? I'm just like checking in with myself.
I think we blew up the meter at this point.
Yep.
I agree.
Because we overdo it and we don't know when to stop, and then we just pick in at everything that we do, and we always try to be so perfectionist, and I think that's a problem itself. And I was going to get to that, so I just wanted to read something real quick. It says the practice of taking an active role in protecting one's own well-being and happiness in particular during periods of stress. So for this, and the way that I can apply it is protecting myself, and meaning focusing more on what's the main struggle for me. My thing will be the mindset. My getting my mind set on something instead of juggling between a million things during the day. So I need to be able to find the ways to help myself focus. And this particular, what it says here, taking an active role in protecting one's own meaning you have to find ways to how to even protect yourself from even overthinking. Yes. So at some point you have to find not balance, you have to find some way to put a stop to it and say, okay, I'm overthinking this, I need to stop, I need to redirect my mind and find healthier ways to be able to have healthier thinking. Because I think that's one of the things that's like one of the top things that we need to target. And then I think everything else will fall into place. The physical, the emotional, the financial. So because we are able to focus, we have a healthy mind, we are able to function healthier in a healthy way. Right. So that's my focus.
I agree. Yeah, I agree to that. And to just to add to what Denise just said, we can tell ourselves all kinds of stories in our head, and the stories will just keep playing day in, day out. Stuff that hasn't even happened. You're planning like, what if this happened? What if this person said this? What if this took place? And then you have to actually tell your mind to be quiet. And then you start telling. What helps me is when that happens, I'm telling my mind to be quiet. And then I start to declare affirmations out loud to reprogram what's taking place. Because then you start to feel so negative after all these stories are playing in your head. What if they're not talking to me because maybe I did this, or I said this wrong, or this took place, or I don't have enough money in the bank account. Like all these things are just chattering in your head every day. You know what I mean? Yep. And it starts as early as you wake up. That's the thing. So it's going into the day and actually setting the day, declaring the day, saying what you want the outcome to be of that day. I mean, it doesn't always happen. I mean, we're moms, we're busy. Sometimes we're rushing at the nick of time to get the kids ready for classes, or we have to make this appointment and we forgot to, take that moment to just relax for a minute before running around and being productive. Right. So it's the stories that we have to like tell ourselves to just be quiet and change the narrative and start declaring affirmation, because that helps a lot. And then you start to see what you're declaring actually manifest throughout the days, throughout the months, throughout the year. You actually see, and that's a form of self-care in itself. It's actually declaring what you want.
I totally agree.
A healthy mind will help us make better choices. Yeah. And be determined about what we want to do, what we want to think, what we want to eat, what we want to do. In our surroundings and in our families. Because what affects us affects our children and whoever's around us as well. So
I agree. And I think choosing one thing to focus on at a time that you want to like improve in your life actually is better than trying to attack everything all at the same time. So if you know that your mindset needs to be, rebuilt, reprogrammed, that's what you focus on first. And then, okay, once you have that under control, maybe you want to work out and focus on your body and the nutrition. Go ahead and take on, that next step. If you know that you barely have enough time for yourself, start with one thing.
Right.
And you know what's funny? As I was telling Gina earlier, I was like, okay, I decided to take this day to take a break. And then I ended up doing a million things during the day. But then my mind is going 1,000. But my body is telling me, you have to slow down. You have to take a rest.
Yes.
So I'm like, am I listening to my mind right now? Or am I listening to my body? My mind is saying, go. It's going 1,000. And then my body is just saying, oh, I need some rest. So it's hard. It's hard to listen to either your mind or your body. So
that's where the mommy guilt comes in.
Yes.
The mommy guilt comes in right there because you're exhausted. It happens to me all of the time. You're exhausted. You're thinking this has to get done. That has to get done. I only have this time frame to get it done. What am I going to do? Then you feel bad that, oh my God, I procrastinated, but you're tired.
You're tired.
Because you're burnt out. You are burnt out, but you feel guilty. So what I tell myself, whenever I start to feel guilty, are the kids fed? Are they clean? Are they killing each other? No. Okay. That everybody is fine.
It's fine. It's okay. The house is not on fire.
Yes.
So I love both of you ladies, what the amazing stuff that you just mentioned. So Denise was mentioning taking control of our minds. In the words of the great T.D. Jakes, who I love, transformed my life. Okay. my brokenness, every source that I can feed off of. Well, he said, if you can whip it out of your mind, our mind. And I think Joyce Meyer also uses some of those strategies in her preaching and her words. If you can whip it in your mind, you can whip it in every aspect of your life. And I love what Lex also said about declaring, right? The affirmations, especially in the morning. I think I'm throwing a blank trying to remember. He's also another big preacher in Texas who said, like, right in the morning, you need to, even if you're feeling like the day is not going to go the best, you're tired, all of it, the affirmation you need to, as soon as you get out of your bed, this day is going to be a great day. You've declared it. You put that energy out there. So whether the day likes it or not, guess what? It's going to move in that direction. And that's hugely part of self-care. Like I mentioned earlier on, many women, we go through the like Pastor Thomas would say, the rat race, right? The rat race. Yes. You're going to the rat race every day, just kind of like in this limbo. You're just going, like there's no feeling, no joy, because you feel like this is so like heavy. And if you don't take time to kind of just sit and breathe through it and say, okay, this is what needs to be done, like you mentioned, Lex, little bits at a time. If you don't get to it, the end hasn't ended. Tomorrow, we can continue on from where we left off. I think that's so amazing. That is amazing. These are things that as young women, we are learning now that we never knew
before.
If I had learned this, or because sometimes generational, like I'm sure if my mother was fed and had received some of the stuff, she could have passed it on. But some of us, or I would say like for myself, I had to learn some of these things the hard way, right? And I use my mother all the time as a way to talk about self-care. And that's one of the reasons why I went to mental health, because she spent, and I love my mother to that. She spent most of her life just doing the mother, going and going. Not just my mom, but many other moms that are still with us or had paved the way for us women.
Yes.
Spend so many energy, time just doing the mommy, and we have been called to so much because God has given us vessels. Those children are vessels. They are in our hands, and we have to account for what we are doing with them, right?
Yes.
So if in the midst of it we lose ourselves, and once they are gone, because the Bible somehow said we love them, but we have to love them fragilely, because once they're done with us, they're starting their own thing. How do we find ourselves? But to be mindful and present enough so to incorporate some of this stuff into our daily lives, so it doesn't become a rat race every day to do this job that God has put before us, to mother our children, and to mother the people around us too. So I thank you guys so much for those two. Those are big, right? Affirmations and trying to get it out of our mindset and whipping it out and get into a stable mindset so we can give to them what needs to be given. Now, what are some of the stuff that you guys feel like has been working in terms of like self-care? Like, what are some of the strategies that you guys has put, as part of your daily routine? Because I feel like it has to be something that becomes part of our lifestyle, because if not, we're just looking at other people or social media and trying to copy so much, trying to be like, okay, like even like the movie stars or whatever. We're just copying a lot. But what have you guys found as I would say regular, right? I would say regular mothers that were doing our things. What have you found to work for you to self? Besides, I know you mentioned one already though, like the affirmation.
Yes.
With me, I can say I have learned to say no.
That's a big one.
I don't have to do everything that my mind says to do. I do not have to do everything that's on my calendar. And I learned not to add things to my calendar that are not priority.
Wow.
So, and I go into my calendar now and I see less things and I feel this weight off my shoulder, because I'm like, wait a minute, I have everyone's birthday here. This is not priority. Let me take this out. I'll go there if I remember, and if I have enough energy to even be around people and celebrate, because I'm like, I need to discipline. I need to learn how to say no. I'm like, I think it's to the point where a lot of people are influenced by the media. So because everyone paints this picture in the media, well, not everyone, some people paint this picture in the media and pretends to be so busy and so accomplished and so so accomplished and so, what's that word, achievable, and to the point where it becomes a competition. So people in their mind, they're like, oh, let me get this done and let me put it on social media and let me pretend to be someone I'm not and act as if I'm accomplishing so much, but in reality they're not getting anywhere. They're still stuck. So I think that's like kind of like something that people need to address in the mind again, back to the mind, back to the mindset, because it becomes an addiction, and that's a bad thing, because some people are so far into it that they're thinking that every little single thing that they have to do during the day, it's important and it's priority. So the priorities are all messed up.
Yes.
So it's about putting things in order and saying, okay, this is important. I can take this out. I really don't have to be here today. And I don't have to focus on what the other person is doing or what she has and whatnot. And then being able to just focus on yourself and have some type of sense of peace of mind.
I know.
That's my focus right now. I want peace in my mind first before I can focus on the rest of the world and everything else that's going on in my home and my family. And so I'm more focused on the inner self of me right now. I'm starting with the mind, because the mind, from the mind, your thoughts can go onto your heart, and then you're driven by your emotions. And then after your emotion, next thing you know, you're acting out. You're either yelling at the child or you're spanking him. And in reality, the child is just being a child. You know? Or someone is just having a simple conversation with you and they're not trying to offend you, but in your mind, you're so exhausted and drained and driven by the things in social media that you're like so focused on that. So all that is sucking your energy. And you're not even focusing and prioritizing the things that are important, which is self-care.
I agree. I agree.
I love that. Love that.
Yes. So for me, one of my main things is prayer.
Oh.
Because and I'm just praying throughout the day, whether my eyes are closed or not. If I'm feeling strength, I'm like, Jesus, give me strength because I don't know what to do with this situation right now. Please just guide me, Lord. Something as simple as that. And then I love to dance. So dancing is another form of self-care that I do. I love to dance around the house. My favorite outside of those two is definitely watching movies. I love to sit and watch movies and listen to audiobooks. If I'm not reading the actual book in my hand, I like to listen to these things because that's helping my mindset, the audio book.
Right.
And I love to watch movies for just that form of entertainment. The kids are at sleep. I can just relax, watch a movie, have some sparkling cider. I'm just making it a whole night. I'm making a whole night of it. If I put on a facial mask, even better. I'm just making a whole spa moment when
God, I love that
of the
too.
day, and just relaxing. I don't have to worry about the kids running around. If they're sleeping, it's even better for me. So those are the things that I do thus far to actually keep my mindset clear and calm, so I'm not ripping every strand of hair out of my head.
I know. I totally am blown away by those because, especially with in terms of prayer.
Yes.
So I put, for me, I put prayer and then I put meditation. But I'll be kidding myself. I told you, the whole idea of meditation, I've mastered it. I'm still work in progress, like being able to focus on your breathing.
Yes.
Even that's a sort of prayer because you're trying to connect with a higher power, which is God, and you're breathing, and you're not focusing on all the worry. Okay, what's tomorrow gonna do? Work. Okay, who you need to call? You're making your list, but while you're making your list for the next day, because I'm big on making a list of everything that I need to do the next day. It helps me center myself on my phone. And sometimes I put it on the fridge to remind me groceries, calls, because otherwise I'll go through the whole day and some important things will be missed. So as soon as I think about it, I'll write it down. Otherwise, I will forget. So
I have to write it down. I have to.
Right.
Because then I'm repeating it over and over out loud. I have to do this. And then my mom is like, okay, are you going crazy? I said, no. I just have to remember. So I write it down. And once I've written it down, it's like a release,
You go back and look. Right.
Yes. I'm like, why was I repeating it over and over?
Right.
I could have just written it down and just had it out of the way.
So meditation, I'm working on the breathing. Yes. But like I was saying, I could be doing that meditation, doing my breathing exercise, which I love, breathing from my gut. Sometimes I can be breathing so shallow, but even with sleep, I found that when I wake up in the middle of the night, sometimes because worry or things going on, and I even tell myself, I'm going to do 10 or 15 deep breaths, right into my gut. Next thing you know, I fall right back to sleep. Not to say sometimes I wake up again, but I do the breathing again and go back. But that's work in progress. But I realized breathing, in addition to praying as well, even the middle of the night, sometimes I get out of the bed. I'm like, forget this bed. I'll just go into warfare. I'll just pray. I'll go back. Some peace just settles right on me. And then I fall asleep. Sometimes I even sleep and my alarm had gone off and I don't even hear it. But guess what, ladies? I found that my best time of prayer is when I'm driving and I put in some worship music and I'm on the road. Oh, Jesus. There are times where I park on the side of the road. I will, my daughter, before I even had my son, but it was like, what are you doing? Are you okay? Or even in the shower too is another one. What I do now is crazy. I take my headphones, and this is crazy, ladies, but this has been doing for the past 3 months. I have a headphone that goes right around my ears. I put it into my ears. I put my shower cup over it, and I spend 30 something minutes in the warm shower. It feels good all in the tub. And I listen to whatever music, worship, and it takes me to a whole different level. So like you said, prayer doesn't have to be within the four walls. I have to drive, I have to go quick to the church and pray. Prayer can be anywhere, in your car, even in the bathroom. There are times where at work, I've had someone and I'm like, this is the devil. I go to the bathroom And I kneel down right in there, paper towels or whatever. I'm like, God, help. Sometimes that's all I gotta say. My hands up in the air. Sometimes tears. I clean my face, dump my makeup, come back out. And believe you me, sometimes the turnaround, the change is so like, God, I know you're in here and you have answered me. And I'll have goosebumps. I'm like, oh my God. There's such power in resting and knowing that he's working it out. So I totally agree with you guys. Prayer, for me, meditation is a way, like number one, gold star.
Yes, and prayer and meditation go hand in hand because it's a conversation. Prayer is us talking to God. The meditation portion is him responding and us listening. Because sometimes so much is going on, we can't hear God clearly, yet he's talking all the time. All the time.
Sometimes it's as simple as opening your mouth and just saying God or Jesus, and he will hear immediately.
Right.
Because I can tell when I'm out of whack, when I'm like, okay, I haven't spent enough time in prayer and doing my devotion. I can tell my body, mindset, everything is just off when that happens. I'm like, Jesus, forgive me. I'm repenting. I will do this right now. I can tell when, because then the day goes, crazy. So I know when something is out of alignment.
Right.
So what about for the women that don't know about prayer and don't really consider themselves having a relationship with God, and how can they? And they're having this mind battle set.
I know.
And they don't even know how to call on to God. Like, maybe we can do another session for that.
I know.
But give a little bit of advice on how to, help that.
I'm so excited that you're saying that though, because there are people listening to us today who might not, believe in Jesus. They're not on that journey yet. For me, I feel like in addition to what we've talked about, practicing gratitude is another way, right?
Yes.
Being gratitude. There are times where I found like even just getting a parking spot, like I'm going and I'm like, oh my God, there's not. And then all of a sudden somebody's moving out and I get a parking spot somewhere where I felt like I would never get a spot. Like this is, and then there's a spot. Or simple, like I feel like there's so many little things along the way of everyday life that I find to be, even when I'm having the most difficult time in relationships around me, because usually it's the environment that's the stressor and how we're responding. But I would say, okay, come back to the basics, Gina. Gratitude, I'm still here. I'm healthy. I can breathe. There are people in the hospital who cannot breathe, who cannot eat on their own, who cannot talk. And I'm here, I'm healthy. Once again, to Lex's point, everybody's safe. I'm grateful for that. And being able to verbalize that for me helps. Sometimes I will not say it, but under my breath, I'll say, God, I'm grateful for this moment right now. I'm here. I have my kids. I have my family. I have my health. I'm okay. I'm going to be okay. It's going to work out.
Yes.
And even helping them understand, some moms understand that we're not perfect. And even sometimes when I'm so distorted by the situation or the problem, I even forget to pray. I even forget that there is a God that I trust and I count on. And all I have to do is open my mouth and he's there.
Of course.
It's not about like us making us ladies that have faith in God we don't make it a routine. We have an actual relationship with God. And sometimes when we're distorted by the situation or the problem, that we can forget to call on to the person that can help us.
Very true.
So they can understand that we're not perfect and that we also struggle even doing just that.
Self-care in so many different levels is so important to I feel like it's so vital. It's a critical part of our survival as mothers, as women in general. And then I also find that the benefit of like diet and some vitamins, adding vitamins to our daily routine, because sometimes I was doing my hair and then the hairdresser was telling me, oh my God, you know what, you're close to your 40s. What do you do with your hair? And I said to her, I still take my prenatal vitamins. So she was joking. She's like, oh, are you planning to go number 3? I said, don't even take me there. I just take prenatal because I feel like it has everything I need on in one pill. Do you guys do any kind of other vitamins that you can throw it out there, like any diets that you find helps as well as part of taking care of ourselves? Taking care of the vessel that God has given us.
Yes. So with vitamins for me, I'm taking my multivitamins on a daily basis. I'm taking zinc, the water that I'm drinking has zinc in it. So I'm drinking that. I take collagen all the time to help with my joints, as well as MSM powder. So the MSM powder helps with your joints as well, and with your hair. And it keeps your hair, growing long and these things. I take ginkgo for memory or any brain supplement or omega-3s. I'm taking vitamin C. So I do take, these vitamins to help me go on a daily basis. And most of the time, my multivitamins, I make sure it has like something that involves energy in it. Right. Because I'm a busy mom. I'm a single mom. I'm on the go 24/7. I need the vitamins to help me get that extra boost, so my body's not deteriorating at an early age, So if you take care of it, you'll have it for a longer time period.
Yeah. I like ginkgo biloba. Is it ginkgo biloba?
Ginkgo biloba. I have it for the memory.
I can say it, but just that one too. Yes. I love that. It helps a whole lot because we have to preserve our memories for when we are in our 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, because we're going to live a whole long life. Okay?
Exactly.
So we got to preserve. We're not going to be in our 70s, 80s, and we can remember this life now,
I want to keep my mind as sharp as possible at all times.
And I don't want to forget to say, you had mentioned dance. That is so amazing. A few months ago, I did a podcast. I can't remember what the title was. And when I was doing my research, it actually came to me that like taking adults dance, dancing at home, like you had mentioned, is awesome too. But ladies, I'm putting the challenge out there. Maybe one day we can sign up for classes together.
It's funny because I just signed up for one.
You did?
Yeah, I did right here in West Hartford near my house.
I love that.
And I say, you know what? I don't care if it's the cha-cha-cha.
That's something to get the body moving.
Yes, I'm releasing some type of stress. Not only that, but I'm also working on my heart.
Right. I love that.
It's a great form of cardio. It's a great form of cardio.
Maybe I can share. It's a healthy dance class that they have. So maybe I can share that information with you guys.
As a resource.
I called so they can give me a consultation. So I'm just waiting for their call to see.
That's great.
And stuff like that, and see if it works for me.
Yep. That's a great, because the coordination, you have to learn to coordinate the moves.
Yes.
Something with the coordination to the brain, the center of the brain that helps with that, helps us preserve our brain function for later life. That, and as well as doing puzzles or word searches. Like when we have time doing that, also kind of helps our brain, the mind to get, so all those cells don't get dulled out. So I love that. I'm not the most coordinated dancer, the best dancer in the room, but any music goes off.
Yes.
My kids were like, Mom, what are you doing? I'm like, yeah, you don't need to watch me. I'm getting my release for the day.
Yes.
So ladies, as we get closer to our ending our discussion on self-care, if you guys are listening today, we are focusing on how as women and how as mothers we can take care of ourselves so we can be best centered and have the best core, strong core to take care of the rest of the family around us. So what is your thought, or have you had any experiences, ladies, when you have had to like maybe pivot or shift in a different way? Like for me, the beginning of 2019 was when like Oprah would say the aha moment or the light bulb kind of went off, and I'm like, what am I doing? Everybody's different, but for me, I know what I get burnt out so easily. I was working like a 8 to 5, position. especially in the summer, I couldn't get to my kids. Like camp was closed. I sometimes get there. My kid is the only one left. She's like, "Mommy, you're always late." I'm like, so I had to pivot. I have to restructure myself and say, "Hey, what do I do? How do I?" That was another part of self-care where I have to look at, okay, do I need to look at, because it's been a fear of mine to start my own like business and to do that so I can have the flexibility to take care of my kids. It's a dream of mine, but I was fearful to go for it. But that aha moment went off when things were just not working out. I was always late. I was always grumpy. I was always all over the place, losing my phone, losing my keys. And I was like, typical crazy. I even went into like a really bad car accident because I was driving on the street, rushing just to get to a meeting. So I had to pivot. I started slow. It was scary. It was the scariest thing I've ever honestly done. But the fulfillment, even if I'm not a millionaire or making millions of dollars, hey, I pray someday, the fulfillment, the peace, at least for me, that works out for me to pivot, to be able to shift. And there's other shifts that is being worked on as well. So my mindset is open to shifting. Have you guys experienced anything like that where you've need to shift or think about shifting at all that has helped to center you better as a mother?
Definitely. Many times I've had to shift what was not serving me because then you start to feel like you're not reaching the level of progress you're aiming for, and you feel like you're going through this mental chaos in the midst of everything. So when I'm thinking, like one of my most recent shifts, it was actually the start of 2020, before we were declared in a pandemic. I realized, okay, there's something that has to change in the routine for my children, as well as the routine for myself. Okay, and then we're hit with a pandemic. You have to shift again because now the kids are home, and you're like, okay, how am I going to do this homeschooling? Have them scheduled for their bedtimes. I had to actually create an actual routine. I had to sit down and create a routine. Okay, this is the time we're doing the classwork. This is the time for bedtime. This is the time that mommy gets her time, because now everyone is inside the house. We're going to play games. We're going to do this so that you're keeping them entertained at the same time. So I'm constantly creating shifts. I know that I'm about to create a whole nother shift soon because now the kids are going back to school in person, during the fall. So there's going to be a whole nother shift that I'm going to have to reprogram a whole new schedule, and not only the schedule for them, but also for me to also have what is serving me in the process. So for me, the pandemic actually helped me to achieve goals that I was unable to achieve. Because, okay, this life that's going on now, it has to change. And I started taking courses after courses. At one point, I was taking 5 courses at the same time. I don't know how, but I did it.
Right.
But, it was something that I knew was to better my mindset and the direction that I'm supposed to be going. So always, being open to the shift. Sometimes you see something is not serving you, but you're afraid to change.
Right.
And you have to realize, okay, if you don't change this, what will your life look like?
I love that.
And can you live with that? Because if you can't live with it, then you have to take baby steps. So reading books, I'm big on seeking a counselor or a coach, because you don't know which direction to go. So you need someone who has gone through this and who can guide you step by step. Okay, this is how I did it. This is how I suggest you should start based on the assessment they have taken of you. But you need someone to speak to give you that encouragement. Because most times it's the encouragement that we're lacking.
Yeah.
And we don't know where to pull it from ourselves. So we need an outside source to guide us on, okay, this is what you should be doing. You have this under control. You've got this. And someone just cheering you on along the way. You may not find it from a family member. So you need someone outside of your home to encourage you and to admire you and to inspire you throughout the entire journey.
Totally love that. Totally digging that, because as part of self-care, and especially in our communities, seeking a coach, seeking a counselor, a therapist, because like you rightfully said, calling a girlfriend a lot of times, it doesn't give you the perspective that you need to look at. Looking at that neutral person who you can open up without fearing that your issue is going to be going, a different direction. It's no brainer.
Yes, and you can always talk to your friend at some time, but sometimes you need a third party outside of your friendship so that you can actually have clear vision. That's the thing.
Agree.
So we have a hard time as moms, as women overall, but we're women first before we were moms.
Right.
To have that tunnel vision, to stay focused, and you lose yourself in your children, you can lose yourself in your marriage, you can lose yourself in your circle of influence. Who are you at the end of the day? And that's where you need to rediscover yourself. So, sitting there and writing out the things that you like, rediscovering you is a journey you take on a daily basis. What you liked 10 years ago may not be what you like today.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. That is amazing.
With Alexis, I'm going to read something that falls into what Alexa just said. And it says, self-care includes actions individually and cares for themselves, their children, their families, and others to stay fit and maintain good physical and mental health, meet social and psychological needs, preventing illness or accidents, and caring for minor elements and long-term conditions.
Right.
So if you don't self-care, there could be long-term conditions because
so
it can affect us long-term. And it also causes, I think, to a level, stress causes some type of sicknesses or illnesses in your body.
Because of ton of diseases. A ton of diseases.
Ton of diseases.
I noticed that. And I said, maybe I am not doing so bad because I don't have too many health conditions at this point. But if I don't start making changes now, then maybe later on it could affect me and
shifting.
Because illnesses and sicknesses just pop up out of nowhere, and
it's true.
It was caused by something that you were not addressing for the longest.
Exactly.
The stress.
And on the note of sicknesses, like one of the things that was hard for me to do was get enough water intake on a daily basis. That was the hardest thing for me to do. So what I've done in the past few months is order cases of water. So that I'm not drawn to the juice. And I get the cases of water that are like have like a hint of fruit flavored, like small hint, but it's mostly like with zinc or magnesium, something that's going to provide the vitamins to my body. And I'm constantly drinking. And my skin, I have achieved some amazing skin results as a result of actually increasing my water intake. And that was the hardest.
I love that.
Eat the healthy meals, but the water was just the hardest for me to do. So now I'm just constantly drinking as much water as possible, cutting down on the sugar, fighting the sugar cravings by getting protein bars. And this was a process, but you have to get in that mindset where you say, okay, enough is enough. It's either I want to look like this or I want to stay looking like that. Like,
choose.
I think I think that some people also struggle with convincing themselves.
Yeah.
Convincing is a big thing because why do you have to overthink things like 20 times to be able to convince yourself out of something it's not good for you?
Yes.
So determination is a big thing. And I think that's another thing that we should focus on, being determined.
Right. To make that choice.
Having an accountability partner helps with that too.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
Having someone that's someone who has the goal that you want and they're encouraging you. So I have a friend she said, Lex, if you want this body, well, you got to get focused on it. And she's working on it. I said, okay, I'm right behind you. I'm working
Let's go. Yes.
Another thing is accountability.
Yes.
Taking accountability.
Yes, totally.
I think that's important.
Right. So having, like Lex said, having a partner who can hold you accountable, like, hey, how do you? Hey, I'm going. Are you ready to? So as women, we need to support each other in that way, be in partnership with each other rather than try to break each other, break each other down, because it takes a community that way to keep you going sometimes. Because when you isolate and you feel like you're in it, especially when you're raising kids and you feel like you're in it by yourself, guess what? It just makes it 1,000 times times more difficult because you stay in your little corner and you don't know, like little changes, little shifting can just make a world of a difference. I talked to you guys a few times, just getting to know you guys a little bit, and I've learned so. You guys have added so much to my life, like from the books that you suggested to some resources, and taking that upon myself to go. That is the way it should be. Than some other ways that doesn't serve us as women and keep us, like you said, accountable and keep us be better mothers. We're not perfect. We're not called to be perfect mothers. I don't think God even wants that for ourselves. But to do the best we can. And do and go through it not so painfully. So I feel like, to recap, I'm going to say a few of the things that we had said will be like, the number one will be meditation. Prayer is the huge part of self-care. Really working on our minds, talking about it with friends, but maybe finding a therapist, finding a counselor, finding a life coach like yourself, even a case manager also like Denise, to help you, to guide you, to give you the necessary resources. Because sometimes it's all about knowing the resources. They're not knowing, for the lack of knowledge. The Bible says what? My people perish. Will perish. So you don't know. It just tells somebody to guide and say, hey, Lex, hey, Gina, hey, Denise, if you go this way, it will be shorter. It will be easy. Rather than you spending another 5-10 years trying to get there, maybe you cut that short by a year and you get to where you need to get, just like that. So
just
get
like
out
the
of your bubble.
Israelites.
Don't be ashamed.
The Israelites, when they took 40 years to possess the promised land.
Put the shame in the back burner, because if you don't, in the long term, that shame is going to be quadruple the size of it. Being a mother is already hard enough. Don't make it too much harder than it should be, So that mindset, shifting the mind, work. And another great thing is the affirmation that Lex has mentioned. Affirmation, telling yourself, even writing on the wall, on your mirror, wherever it needs to be put, on your car, all over it, on your purse. So you can see it. As you see it, you tell yourself, I can do this. Even just things like, I can do this. I'm strong. I'm beautiful. Because some of us, we go through life after having kids, we don't feel like we are beautiful anymore. Or our partners make us feel like we are not fit, or we are not beautiful anymore, or we are worth discarding of. But nobody else can make us feel as whole as we can. We have to feel that feeling. Outside, people can tell us how beautiful but if you're not believing it's within yourself as part of your self-care journey, it's not going to go anywhere. So as part of self-caring, I just noticed that somebody's bugging you there. My son. Never seen. They're like, Mom, are you done yet? That is so beautiful. I love it. I love the fact that what we are discussing is so raw and it's so real. And we don't need to pretend, we just saw a kid's head just dive down that way. It's part of mothering. I work from home sometimes. I have meetings. Next thing you know, the kid is coming through. It's at the back. I was like, I'm so sorry. But hey, that's part of being a mother.
Yes, it's part of being a mother. Yep. It's so true.
I think being able to talk about these topics and unfold it's also part of self-care, because we're actually realizing what are the things that really stand out and we can also work on.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Than the others.
Yes. Yeah. And another good thing to do that helps me a lot is getting up and dressing up. We're so used to, especially if you're in the house all the time, you're walking around in your house clothes, your hair is not done. So some days you just need to perk yourself up. It changes your whole mood. Realize that you've dressed up, you've put on maybe some makeup or a nice outfit. Even if you're not going anywhere, just walk around your house a few times. You see how quickly you feel like you're in a better mood.
It changes your mood.
Spraying on some perfume even before bed. Just spraying on your perfume just to give you that sense of feeling wanted or beautiful, whatever it is for you. And it doesn't mean that you're doing it for someone else next to you. It's just doing it for you.
You
You're doing it for you just to feel good about yourself.
Yes. I totally
agree. And look in the mirror and tell yourself, you're so beautiful. Oh my God.
Don't wait for somebody to tell you that.
Yes. My mom does that all the time from as long as I can remember. She's always looking in the mirror and say, I'm a beautiful woman. I say, yes, Mom, I know. She does it ever since. And
I love that.
It now.
I need to practice that more often.
Yes.
Yeah. So ladies, I know Lex, your YouTube channel is amazing. I'm always there checking things out. Because like I said, many of us women, we are, whether we are married or officially single, a lot of times we flow like we are single. When you go to the doctor's, pediatrician's office, 90% of the people there with the kids are the women. You go to meetings at school, women. You go to the grocery store, we are the ones there. So we are there, and people, please go to YouTube and go to Chatting with Lex and check it out. She has some amazing nuggets there for mothers, whether you're single, married, whatever your status is, and you're raising kids, adopted, foster kids, whatever. She has such resources. Check it out. And she's on Instagram. Can you please tell me? I don't have the thing on right in front of me. What is your what is it called? Your link
Instagram.
Yes.
Oh, Instagram is Chattin with Lex as well. ChattinWithLex. And same thing on YouTube. Yes.
Yeah.
So
I'll put it down.
Lex,
I'll put it down in the description so people can also kind of click on it and see it and connect. And then for resources on anything for parent support, mothers, you need any kind of resource help, an advocacy person to look for as a case manager, please link up. She does work at Catholic Charities, but I will link up resources there that she has suggested from Denise that will help any woman out there that needs any kind of support, outside of what is already known. So
I can also share my email.
Yeah, in your email. Yeah. So anybody has questions, and I also link my name of my practice for mental health, for support for any woman who's looking for, mental health support, therapy, medication, whatever you need, mentorship. I'll put it down in the description as well, so you can link up with us and let's see how we can move this work forward.
Yes.
And thank you so much, ladies,
for
joining me.
Us.
It's been a blessing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
have
so
an
much.
amazing. Yes, you're welcome. It's been great.
Some good topics.
Yes.
We have to do this again. We definitely have to.
We gotta. And guys, look out for our next video. Bye. Talk about.
Thank you for tuning in, and be sure to comment and subscribe.